The Letter in the Pocket. An imaginary love story set in 1945 in post-war Berlin. The city lies in ruin. Smoke curls up from the rubble like ghosts too tired to haunt. Berlin, 1945. The war has ended, but peace feels like an illusion, a faint dream whispered in alleyways and broken homes. I walk slowly, limping from a wound that never healed properly. I was a soldier, barely 18 when the war tore me away from everything. Now I am a shadow of who I was. I don't know where my family is. I don't even know if they're alive. The streets are filled with people who've lost everything, and yet somehow the human heart still dares to hope. In the corner of my coat pocket, I keep a letter, a worn piece of paper, creased 100 times. I've read it so many times I can recite it by heart, but I never tire of seeing the ink that brought me back to life. It is unsigned, unaddressed, a mystery born from a miracle. It began one freezing morning in a makeshift hospital for wounded soldiers. I had just regained enough strength to sit by the window. The city looked like a graveyard. I didn't know how to feel alive in a place filled with so much death. Until one day, a nurse brought me a piece of bread, and tucked inside the bread was a letter. It read, "You are not forgotten. Somewhere beyond these broken walls, there is someone who believes you matter. Heal, rest, hope. You are more than this war." There was no name, no signature, just that message, but it lit something inside me, a small flame in a vast darkness. I clutched that letter every night like it was my heartbeat. Weeks passed, then another letter came, hidden inside an old book they brought to my bedside. Then another, sewn into a patch on the blanket, each one different, but carrying the same lifeline of hope, the same ink of kindness. I began to write back, not knowing if anyone would read it. I left my replies under my pillow or folded in the sleeves of coats I returned. I wrote about the dreams I had before the war, about my sister's laughter, about how I missed the smell of fresh-baked bread in the mornings. I didn't know if my words reached her. I didn't even know if it was just one person writing to me, but I began to live again because of it. Then one day she stopped writing. No more notes, no more hidden words of warmth. I asked the nurses, but they said the young woman who'd come as a volunteer disappeared when the city was bombed. No name, no records, like a ghost who had slipped away. Years passed. I rebuilt my life, piece by fragile piece. I moved to Hamburg, then to London, became a teacher, taught children about history, about resilience, about the power of words. But I never stopped thinking about her, the girl with the invisible hands and invisible heart who had written letters that saved a stranger's soul. One spring morning in 1963, I found myself in Paris for a conference. I was early, so I stopped at a small bookshop. The smell of old paper always gave me comfort. As I browsed, a small volume of poetry fell from a high shelf. I picked it up, and a folded piece of yellowed paper slipped out. My heart nearly stopped. It was the letter, my letter, the first one. Same words, same faded handwriting, same crease in the top right corner where I'd folded it again and again. I turned to the shopkeeper, trembling. "Where did you get this book?" I asked. He shrugged. "Donation. A woman left a whole stack last month. She volunteers at the War Archives. French-German, quiet, kind." My voice cracked. "Do you know her name?" He blinked. Sophie Adler." My breath caught. I ran. The archives weren't far. I arrived breathless, clutching the letter, my hands shaking. I asked for Sophie. The clerk raised an eyebrow. "She's cataloging in the back room. Would you like to wait?" I didn't answer. I just walked past her, toward the hall at the end, and then I saw her. She was older now, of course. We both were. But the curve of her cheek, the calm in her eyes, it was her. It was her. I didn't say her name. I simply held out the letter. Her eyes widened, her lips parted. "How?" she began, but her voice broke. "I kept every letter," I whispered, "and I never stopped wondering, never stopped looking." A tear rolled down her cheek. "I didn't think you lived." "I did," I said, "because of you." She looked at me for a long moment, as if peeling back the layers of time. "I always hoped you would find me," she said. "I always knew I would," I replied. And there, in a room full of dusty archives and forgotten memories, we embraced, not as strangers, but as two souls who had once met in the ruins of war and now met again in the peace of love.